Good morning, students. Today we are with the chapter number 12, atoms, and today's topic is Bohr's atom model. In the previous lecture, we have already discussed the Rutherford atom model, J.J. Thomson atom model, and Dalton's atom model, right? So there were two limitations or two drawbacks in the Rutherford model. Basically, one that Rutherford model could not explain stability of atoms, and second, it could not explain the line spectrum of hydrogen atom. So the new model came into play, that is Bohr's atom model. Okay. So as per the Bohr atom model, it is based on postulates. So there are few postulates in Bohr atom model. Number one, nuclear concept, right? In a nuclear concept, an atom consists of nucleus, and all electrons are revolving around the nucleus like planets revolves around the sun. This is the planetary model of atom. These orbits are also called shells or energy levels. Means that these electrons are revolving around the nucleus. It means they are revolving in the shell or energy level. The necessary centripetal force provided by the force between electron and nucleus. The nucleus is positively charged and electrons are negatively charged. So due to electrostatic attraction force, these electrons get centripetal force and ultimately revolves around the nucleus. So this is the first postulate. Now the second one is quantum condition. Means the electrons are revolving around the nucleus in the fixed orbit. An electron can revolve around the nucleus only those orbits called the stationary orbits in which its angular momentum is integral multiple of h by 2 pi. H by 2 pi sometimes may be written as h cross, right? Where h is Planck's constant. It means angular momentum mvr of electron is equal to nh by 2 pi. Now this n is nothing but the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So all non-zero positive numbers are n. N is principal quantum number, right? And the third postulate is frequency condition. The electron revolving around the nucleus in a certain orbit, if it absorbs the energy, it will jump into a higher state, excited state. And when it releases the energy, it comes down the orbit. When an electron makes a transition from one permitted orbit to another, it emits or absorbs the energy. If it emits the energy, it will jump down, and if it absorbs the energy, it will jump in the higher state. This energy is equal to energy difference between the initial and final energy levels, right? Now, this is the energy of initial energy level, and this is the final energy of final energy level. The difference between energies is equal to h. Means the energy will come out, or energy will be absorbed by the electron in the form of photon, right? So this h nu may be written as hc by lambda, right? For example, this electron is jumping from third to second, right? It means E3 minus E2 is equal to h nu, right? So the energy of photon will be equivalent to the difference of energy of two levels, third and second. So it will release the energy, okay? And the energy of photon will be h. So these are the postulates of Bohr's theory, and now we are discussing the Bohr's theory of hydrogen atom. expression for radius of nth orbit. Suppose in a hydrogen atom the electron is revolving in nth orbit. So what will happen? mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi. This is the Bohr's postulate, quantum concept. So this is equation 1. We have to calculate r, since the radius of nth orbit is taken r, right? Now second thing, since the electron is moving around the nucleus, so the centripetal force will be centripetal force have the source the electrostatic force between electron and nucleus. Means the electrostatic force, attraction force between electron and nucleus of hydrogen atom provides the centripetal force to the electron and it will revolve around the nucleus. So centripetal force K Q1 Q2 by R square. So Q1 is ZE and Q2 is E. So K ZE square by R square is equal to centripetal force mv square by R. We can get mv square is equal to K ZE square by R from this equation. This is equation number 2. In previous equation there was mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi. So we get the two equations. Now from these two equations we can find the value of r. Right. Now we are arranging the first equation like this. V is equal to nh by 2 pi mr. This is from equation 1. Right. Now what we will do? We will substitute the value of V from this equation in the equation number 2. Right. So this will comes out mv square is equal to kZe square by r. Now substituting the value of V, we will get this thing. Right. Now after cancel out the factors r and square of this r, we can get r is equal to n square h square divided by 4 pi square mkZe square. This is equation 3rd and this is the expression for radius of nth orbit. Now you can see all factors are constant in right hand side. H is constant, pi is constant, mass of electron constant, 4 pi 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught constant, Z constant, E constant. It means R is directly proportional to n square. So as the principal quantum number increases, radius is also increasing. Right. So if we put the value n is equal to 1, so we can get the Bohr radius. Bohr radius means the radius of the first orbit, that is called Bohr radius. Right. Now we have to calculate the velocity of electron in nth orbit. Now we are coming with same first equation, mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi. From this equation V is equal to nh divided by 2 pi mr. Right. Now what we will do? We will substitute the value of r. As we already calculated the r, so we can get Vn is equal to 2 pi kZe square by nh. So this is the equation for velocity. Now all factors are constant except n. So Vn is inversely proportional to n. Means the velocity decreases as we are going to the higher energy levels or higher cells. Right. The reason is that when we are going away from the nucleus, the centripetal force is decreasing. That's why the centripetal force also decreasing. So the velocity decreases. Right. So this is the expression for velocity. Now we are calculating the energy in nth orbit. When electron revolves, it will have two type of energy. One is kinetic energy and second one is electrostatic potential energy due to interaction between electron and nucleus. Now we have an equation. This is the second equation, mv square by r is equal to kZe square by r square. From this equation we can get kinetic energy. If we transfer this r in right hand side, so we will get mv square. Now the half of this is called kinetic energy, right? So this is the kinetic energy. Now we have to calculate the potential energy. Potential energy is K Q1 Q2 divided by R. K Q1 Q2 by R. Now what is Q1? ZE plus ZE. What is Q2? Minus E divided by R. R is distance between nucleus and this. So this is K Q1 Q2 by R. So we can get potential energy like this. So this is kinetic energy and this is potential energy. Now we will add these two energies, so we can get the total energy in nth orbit. So this energy will come out En is equal to minus k ZE square by 2, right? So this is the final kinetic energy. Now after substituting the value of R in this energy equation, so we can get energy in nth orbit like this, since R is equal to this. Now in this equation, everything is constant. Pi is constant, mass of electron is constant, K is constant, Z, E, H. Now what else? That is N. It means En is inversely proportional to N square. After substituting these values, we can get minus 13.6 divided by N square. This is the energy in nth orbit. N is principal quantum number, right? So as we go up, the energy or binding energy will decrease, right? So this is the total energy of electron in hydrogen atom. So this is all about today's lecture. Thank you very much.